So I want to start off by saying welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome. If you're a fanatic of everything entertainment, then this is the channel for you. But in today's movie review, we'll be talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. So let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Fuck you!
Jason, Mother is talking to you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
So before we get into it, just know that I'll be talking about the video and audio release for Dream Warriors on this collection because I just had so many of y'all show up and subscribe, which now I have over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. That really does mean a lot. But for the video aspect in here, I think that this and part two and some of the other films are fantastic on this release. You know, all these films, this is the best they're ever going to look, and I'm satisfied with all of them, to be honest. But part two and three are probably some of my favorites, but it's probably because they're some of my favorite films in the franchise. Biased, I know, but the video in here looks fantastic. Even the stop motion scene in here. I love stop motion. I thought it was going to look cheesy on 4K, but I was a fan of it. I love the way it looked. I love the way Freddy looked in 4K, the daylight scenes. Some of the kills you could see, strings or whatever. No pun intended for the mayonnaise scene, but you could see like certain things that you never saw before on this release. And then with the audio, I do have to say that I don't have a sound bar. I don't even have a setup whatsoever. I just listen to everything on my TV speakers, which I know is asinine, but what can you do? I don't have the money for any of that right now, but yeah, like this sat perfectly in the 50 to 60 range for me, which is normal for me when coming to watching movies. So, yeah, my TV goes all the way up to 100. This sat perfectly in the 50 to 60 range, so I'm satisfied nonetheless. And then here's what the special features look like on this release. A bit more than part two, for sure, but not as much as part one, but I'm still satisfied nonetheless because the DVD I had previously, I don't think it had anything on there. Maybe a commentary, and that was it. So, yeah, I'm satisfied nonetheless. I don't know what the Blu ray release looked like, but I'm satisfied nonetheless. But with that, let's move on to the things that I did like about this movie. And the first thing I have to bring up is the beginning in here, where you see Kirsten making Nancy's house through the popsicle sticks. I forgot what it's called when you do that, but I love when people are artsy and are into crafts and stuff. And I knew someone personally back in the day that did this, and I didn't have the money to buy it off her. I think her name was Mia, but still, regardless, like if she still does that, I'm gonna have to get one soon because now I have the money and I would love to have it on display. So that whole opening scene is great. And then speaking of that, I love Dream Warriors by Dokken. It is a music video on the special features in here. I don't know if it's in 4K or not. I have to watch it after this review. So I'm excited to watch that nonetheless. Because I don't think I've seen the music video in full. I've just heard the song, which I know is weird considering how much I love this movie. And then the casting characters in here. This is the best set of characters that we have in any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, which I know might not be saying much because everyone loved the Dream Warriors, but still, like the Dream Warriors in here are fantastic. You know, you have Kirsten, you got Nancy coming back, you got Joey Kincaid, and some other characters in here, and then you got some cast members in here. I forgot we're in here, like Lawrence Fishburne. That is awesome. He went on to do the Matrix and John Wick films and so much other things. And I just love that he got his start in horror. I don't know if this is his first film or not, but it's one of his earliest roles. I know that for sure. So I just love the casting characters in here and the Dream Warriors themselves. And speaking of the Dream Warriors, I love that people can bring in others into their dreams. I wish we could do that in real life, but I love that each Dream Warrior has like their own special ability that makes them themselves, if that makes any bit of sense. Like, you know, Kincaid has his own power where he's super strong, and then you got Joey's power where he finally speaks because he's mute throughout the whole movie. And, Kirsten is now into karate and stuff, which I loved that. You know, she's able to kick ass, do things that she's never done before, doing cartwheels, jumping off walls. I love that. And then, like, what's her name? I forgot the character's name, but she's like, in my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad. I forgot the character's name. I don't know if that's the actual line or not, but you know who I'm talking about. But yeah, with the Dream Warriors, I love that you actually get to build these characters up. Not many of these films do that, and I'm glad this one does it nonetheless. The one-liners in here are fantastic, especially like the birth of Freddy Krueger saying "bitch" with
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
And that kill itself is fantastic, where he smashes the girl's face into the TV. And then this film has like the best kill of the franchise, in my opinion. It is up to interpretation. You know, everyone has their own opinions. But this film has the only kill to me that makes me squeamish, and that's the marionette scene, where the dude that makes puppets and everything, Freddy uses that against him in his dreams, and he uses his veins and tendons to make him a puppet, a marionette puppet. That is disturbing to me. It still is to this day. That's the only like scene where I see 2 or 3 seconds of it. I'm like, no, I don't want to watch it, but my eyes are stuck on screen and I have to watch it. And it does look good in 4K in here, so I'll have to give it that. But my God, I hate it, but I love it. And speaking of Freddy Krueger, this movie has the best balance of comedic Freddy and scary Freddy. Like this and Freddy versus Jason are the best to do it, in my opinion. You know, he's very scary at times, but he's very comedic at times, and it's a perfect balance. And people say this is start of the downhill. No, that's Dream Master, baby. And I brought up the stop motion earlier, but I love that scene. You know, anytime there's stop motion in films, I am a stop motion whore, even though I have no idea how to do it. I mean, I know how to do it, but I don't know how to do it, if that makes sense. Like, I know that it's hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of pictures making up like a 15-second clip. I'm not up to do that. But I give massive props to people that do, because I just love the way that that stuff looks. When you see Freddy's body come back to life, yes, it looks cheesy, but it's the 80s. I love it. Um, and I just love that whole junkyard scene anyway. Also, this film has like the scariest setting of any of the films taking place in like a mental asylum or hospital, whatever you want to call it. Anytime that those settings are used in horror films, I'm up for it, you know, because I just find those things scary anyways. And I forgot to bring this up, but Kincaid. Kincaid is probably like my favorite or second favorite character in here, because his attitude, he's just a punk ass in here, but I love him. And I love the ending in here where you see Freddy's death in here and all the holes and everything is just shining out throughout the nightmare that he put everyone in. And I love the visual of it. It is a bit cheesy, but I still love it nonetheless. So with that, let's move on to the things that I'm mixed on with this movie. First thing I have to bring up, spoilers, of course, but this movie is about to be 40 in a couple of years. But Nancy's death in here, I don't mind that she dies. I wish it was a bit more creative. Yes, her and the Dream Warriors are in Freddy's um, nightmare, I guess you could say. Nightmare for them. And she just goes out, not on a whimper, but it's very anticlimactic for such an iconic character. I wish it was just a bit more creative, and you know, we got to see more of it, but still, nonetheless, it's great. And speaking of her, I forgot to bring this up earlier. This is in the positives. Okay, I'm just rambling too much, but her and her newfound boyfriend, I love him in here, and I love that her dad comes back in here as well. He's one of my favorites in this film as well. And he sort of takes up the mom's role in the first film, where she was a drunk and now he's a drunk, but it makes sense because of everything that just happened in this film, or in the previous film. And then my last thing I want to bring up in the mix section is, why is Freddy Krueger holding Joey? Which, up until this point, I don't think he's held anyone captive. I know he does it again in New Nightmare with Dylan, and I guess technically maybe with Dream Child, where you know he's holding the protagonist's son captive, sort of haunting the baby's dreams, but not really holding him captive. Maybe, I don't know. Like, he's just never done it again, and I don't get it. And then, with that being said, let's move on to things that I didn't like about this movie. First thing I want to bring up is the Miss Ratchet knockoff. And you're like, who's Miss Ratchet? You know, if you ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, then you know who I'm talking about. Miss Ratchet! I don't know. This, I know it's not the same actress. I don't believe it is. But she just gives off very heavy Miss Ratchet vibes. And anytime I think of Miss Ratchet, something inside me boils. And that's not a good thing. Another thing I want to bring up, Kirsten's mom. She's just like Tina's mom in the first movie. Even though she doesn't go on vacation and leave her child home alone. So I guess she has one up on Tina's mom. But still, like, she's more worried about getting some dick than take care of her child. And then the last thing in the negatives, I probably could put this in the mixed. I don't know why I'm putting it in the negatives, but it was just something that I thought about recently. how does Nancy come back based off the ending of the original film? Given there was three different endings, and maybe we could think of the happy ending where she actually gets to drive off, no Freddy involvement whatsoever. But it's just like, how does Nancy come back? But then again, how does Freddy ever come back? I guess like, you could just like uh, brush that away, but it's still like, how do these characters ever come back? Like Freddy, Chucky, Jason, Michael Myers, so on and so forth, because they always come back. But Nancy, sort of ended, sort of definitively in the first film. I'm glad she came back. I am not complaining that she came back whatsoever. I'm just questioning how, based off the ending of the first film. That's all. That's all. Okay, don't get mad at me because I absolutely love this movie, and is why I'm going to be giving 1987's A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 Dream Warriors an overall grade of a 93%. So with that said, let me know in the comments below what you think about this movie. Do you like it more than the first? Because this is a fan favorite, and for good reason. Okay, this is best in the franchise, in my opinion. This I haven't seen it in 7 years since I did the original series. 7 years ago when I started. Um, but yeah, I was afraid that I wasn't gonna like this movie as much as I used to, but I still love it just as much as I used to, which is awesome because you can't always say that about a movie that you loved 5 plus years ago, 7 plus years ago, 10, 15, 20 plus years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I still love this film. But anyways, I just want to say thank you as always for watching my videos and hope to see you in the next one.